Daf Yomi Tractate Sanhedrin, page 32b. The last two words, the previous Amud were Elamiata, but if that is so, that the sages removed the requirement for inquiry and interrogation in case of monetary law. And now we're on top of 32b. Ta'u lo yishalmu kol shekain shetina ol delas b'fnei lovin. If the judges erred, that they should not need if the judges erred, they should not need to pay the party they wronged, as they can claim that they were prevented from examining the witnesses effectively. Gemara answers, if that were to be the halacha, all the more so that this would lock the door in the face of potential borrowers. If people know that the courts are not responsible for an error in judgment, they will not be willing to loan money. Rava Amar Masnisan Dehacha Bedine Kanasos Ve'idach Ve'hodos Ve'alavos. Rava says the ruling of the Mishnah here that cases of monetary law require inquiry and interrogation is stated with regard to laws of fines, not standard cases of monetary law. And the other sources, being the Mishnah and Tractate Shvi'it, and the Braita, which do not require inquiry and interrogation, are stated with regard to cases of admissions and loans, in which there is cause to relax the procedures of deliberation as explained. Rav Papa Amar, Idi ve'idi behoda ve'halva, kan bedin meruma, kan bedin she'eno meruma. Rav Papa says this and that, meaning both the Mishnah here and the other sources are stated with regard to cases of an admission and a loan. The distinction between them is that the Mishnah here, which rules that cases of monetary law require inquiry and interrogation, is stated with regard to a possibly fraudulent trial where the court suspects that one party is attempting to defraud the other party and have witnesses offer false testimony on his own behalf. There, in the Braita and in the Mishnah and Tractate Shvi'it, which do not require inquiry and interrogation, the ruling is stated with regard to a trial that does not appear fraudulent. Chadash Lakish, Deresh Lakish Rami, Ksiv b'tzedek tishbot amisecha, u'ksiv tzedek tzedek tirdov, ha'ketzad, kan bedin meruma, kan bedin she'eno meruma. This distinction is in accordance with the statement of Reish Lakish. As Reish Lakish raises a contradiction between two verses, it is written in one verse, in justice shall you judge your neighbor, Leviticus 19:15, and it is written in another verse, justice, justice, you shall follow, Deuteronomy 16:21, with the repetition indicating that it is not enough to merely judge with justice. He continues, how can these texts be reconciled? Here, the latter verse is stated with regard to a possibly fraudulent trial, where the court must take extra care to judge with justice. There, the former verse is stated with regard to a trial that does not appear fraudulent. Rav Ashi Amar Masnisan Kedeshanin Kroy Echad Ladin V'Echad Lipshara. Rav Ashi says the ruling of the Mishnah here that cases of monetary law require inquiry and interrogation, as we answered, in accordance with any one of the answers offered by the other Amoraim, and those verses were not stated with regard to fraudulent trials. Rather, one is stated with regard to judgment, in which the court must pursue justice extensively, and one is stated with regard to compromise. Kedetanya tzedek tzedek tirdov, Echad Ladin ve'echad Lipshara. Ketzad Shtei Sfinos Tovos Benahar Upagu Zeh V'Zeh Im Avros Shteihen Tovos Zeh B'Zeh Achar Zeh Shteihen Avros V'chein Shnei Gemalim Shaya Olim B'Malos Beis Choron Upagu Zeh V'Zeh V'Im Alu Shneihen Oflin Zeh B'Zeh Achar Zeh Shneihen Olim. As it is taught in Brayta, when the verse states, justice, you shall follow, one mention of justice is stated with regard to judgment, and one is stated with regard to compromise. How so? Where there are two boats traveling on the river, and there they encounter each other. If both of them attempt to pass, both of them sink, as the river is not wide enough for both to pass. If they pass one after the other, both of them pass. And similarly, where there are two camels who were ascending the ascent of Beit Haron, where there's a narrow, steep path, and they encounter each other, if both of them attempt to ascend, both of them fall. If they ascend one after the other, both of them ascend. Haketza tu'una she'eno tu'una. Tidacha she'ena tu'una mipnei te'una krova v'she'ena krova tidacha krova mipnei she'ena krova hayu shteihen krovot shteihen rechokot hatel pishara b'neihen ma'alot sachar zo lezo. How does one decide which of them should go first? If there is one boat that is laden, and one boat that is not laden, the needs of the one that is not laden should be overridden due to the needs of the one that is laden. It's a boat with a lot of stuff on it. If there is one boat that is close to the destination, and one boat that is not close to its destination, the needs of the one that is close should be overridden due to the needs of the one that is not close. If both of them are close to their destinations, or both of them were far from their destinations, impose a compromise between them to decide which goes first. And the owners of the boats pay a fee to one other, meaning the owners of the first boat compensate the owner of the boat that waits for any loss incurred. Tanu Rabbanan Tzedek Tzedek Tirdof Helech Achar Beis Din Yafe Achar Rabbi Eliezer Lelod Achar Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai Lebror Chayil. Sages taught, the verse states, justice you shall follow. This teaches that one should follow the best, most prestigious court of the generation. For example, follow after Rabbi Eliezer to Lod, after Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to Beror Chayil. Tana kol Rechaim Bevurni Shavua Haben Or Haner Bevor Chayil Mishtesham. The sages taught with the Gentile authorities when the Gentile authorities issued decrees outlawing observance of the mitzvot, members of Jewish communities devised clandestine ways of indicating observance of mitzvot to each other. For example, if one produces the sound of a millstone in the city called Burni, this is tantamount to announcing week of the sun, meaning there will be a circumcision. If one displays the light of a lamp in the city called Bror Chayil, this is tantamount to announcing there is a wedding feast there. There is a wedding feast there. Tanu Rabbanan Tzedek Tirdof Helech Achar Chachamim Liyeshiva Achar Rabbi Eliezer Lelod Achar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai Lebror Chayil Achar Yehoshua lePeki'in, Achar Rabban Gamliel Yavne, Achar Rabbi Akiva leVnei Brak, Achar Rabbi Masya leRomi, Achar Rabbi Chananya ben Tradion leSichni, Achar Rabbi Yossi leTzipori, Achar Rabbi Yehuda ben Meser leNetzivin, Achar Yehoshua leGola, Achar Rabbi leBeit She'arim, Achar Chamim leLishkat HaGazit. The sages taught the first days just as you shall follow the teachers that one should follow the sages to academy where they are found. For example, follow after Rabbi Eliezer to Lod, after Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to Beror Chayil, after Rabbi Yehoshua to Peki'in, after Rabban Gamliel to Yavne, after Rabbi Akiva to Bnei Brak, after Rabbi Mattia to Rome, after Rabbi Chananya ben Tradion to Sichni, after Rabbi Yossi to Tzipori, after Rabbi Yehuda ben Meser to Netzivin, after Rabbi Yehoshua to the exile, Gola meaning to Babylonia, after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi to Beit She'arim, and after the sages in the time of the temple to the chamber of hewn stone. Dinei Mamanos Poskin Heichen Aminan, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Hachi Amrin Lahu, Mi Yemar, Ke Dika Amritu. The Mishnah teaches that in the case of monetary law, the court opens the deliberations either with a claim to exempt the accused or with a claim to find him liable. In case of capital law, the court opens up the deliberations with a claim to acquit the accused, but does not open the deliberations with a claim to find him liable. The Gemara asks, how do we say this opening stage of the deliberations? In other words, with what claim does the court begin deliberating? Rabbi Yehuda said, we say this to the witnesses. Who says that the event occurred as you said? Perhaps you erred. Amar Ula Yeha Chasmin Lahu Lechasmu Milotanya Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer Omer Messian Esaidim Mekom Makom Kadeshi Yitraf Datan V'Yachazor Bahen. Ula said to him, but by confronting the witnesses in this manner, we silence them. The witnesses will think that the court suspects them of lying, and they will not testify. Yehuda said to him, and let them be silenced. Isn't it taught in Brighton 79:1? Shimon Elazar says, in the case of capital law, the court brings the witnesses from one place to another place in order to confuse them, so that they will retract their testimony if they're lying. Mi dami hasam melakad midachu hacha kacha dechinan lahu biyadayim. The Gemara rejects this argument. Are the halakha comparable? Therewith, where Shimon Elazar says to bring the witnesses from place to place, the witnesses are repressed by themselves, whereas here we repress them by direct action, and that the court should not do. Ela Amar Ula Achi Amrinan Yesh Lecha Edim Lazimam Amar Le Rabba Chiposkim Eschuso Shel Zeh Shehi Chawas Shel Zeh. Rather, Ula says we say this to the accused. Do you have witnesses to determine that the witnesses who testified against you are conspiring witnesses? Rabba said to him, but we do open the deliberations of the claim to acquit the accused, that is, to the liability of this one, meaning the witnesses. The claim can lead to witnesses incurring liability for their testimony. Umi havi chavoso b'hatanan ein edim zomin neheragin ad shigmar adin. The Gemara questions Rab's assumption, but is this to the liability of the witnesses? But didn't we learn in the Mishnah in Makot 5b, conspiring witnesses are not killed for their testimony until the verdict of the one concerning whom they testified is issued. Therefore, if they will be shown to be conspiring witnesses at this early stage of the proceedings, they will not be liable. Hachi amina ilu shatik hai ad de mikmar dine umesi etim umesim lahu Havilei chovaso shelzeh ella amar rabba amrinan le yesh lecha edim le'ach chishan. Gemara restates Rabba's objection. This is what I say. If the accused would be silent until his verdict is issued, and then brings witnesses, and the court determines them to be conspiring witnesses, it will be found that the statement of the court is to the liability of this one, meaning the witnesses. Rather, Rabbah says, we say to the accused, do you have witnesses to contradict them? If the first witnesses are contradicted as to the facts of the case, no one is liable. Rav Kahana Amar, Midivrechem Nizdaka Ploni. Abaya V'Rava de Amri Tervayu, Amrinan Le, Ilo Katalt Lo Tichdal. Rav Ashi Amar Kol Mi, Shiodea Lo, Sechut, Yavov Yulamid Alav. Rav Kahana said, we say to witnesses based on your statements, so-and-so is acquitted. The court issues a pro forma declaration that it is possible to find a reason to acquit based on the testimony of the witnesses, and then they begin the deliberations. And and Rabbi both say, we say to the accused, for example, if you did not kill anybody, do not fear the consequences of these proceedings, as you will be acquitted. Rav Ashi says the court announces, whoever knows of a reason to acquit the accused should come and teach this reason concerning him. Tani Kosa by Rabbi Omer, Im lo shachav ish otach, im lo shatit. The Gemara comments is taught in a Braita in accordance with the explanation of Abai and Rava. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says the priest administering the sota rite to the sota says to her, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone astray to impurity while under your husband, you shall be free from this water of bitterness that causes the curse. But if you have gone astray while under your husband, Numbers 5:19-20, the priest first states the scenario in which the woman is innocent of adultery.